Greetings and salutations, this is Imperator Vespasian, and I'm bringing you a kind of look into the stuff that we've been doing recently, which is Call of Cthulhu or Achtung Cthulhu. We've been doing both games simultaneously or at different times, and we've built a load of scenery to fit in with the Americas during the 1600s, which is when our Call of Cthulhu game is set. So it's set in that period, so it's not like Achtung Cthulhu, which is set in the Second World War, or Call of Cthulhu, which is set in the 1920s. So quite simply, you've got Call of Cthulhu, which is the roleplay game, and then you've got Achtung Cthulhu, which is the tabletop game. And within the rules, not this book, the other book, you have the ability to convert the rule system for Call of Cthulhu into Achtung Cthulhu. So you can get your Call of Cthulhu character and transfer them like this and create a character for the tabletop, which can be used on the tabletop without using the rule book, although the primary things are down there. Anyway, I'll get into that later. So this is a manor house. It is a manor house set in the mid-1600s, just prior to the English Civil War, and the sort of thing you would find in America at the time. So here we are. It's kind of based on the manor house in the Lovecraft book, the one about the ghouls. Lurking Fear, that's it. So I'll just go do a quick look around the outside. So outside we have a very nice little pond, which actually took quite a bit of time to make, with some old trees. It's got a serpent fighting a knight, which is quite nice, and there's a few tentacles sticking out of it. Then we have the greenhouse. All big houses at the time had greenhouses, and you got a little bit of mould growing around. I'll go into that later. And this is the manor house itself. It's based on 3 floors, and each floor is detachable, and there's interior on each one. I'll go into that later. So this is a walk around the house. It's quite a nice little house. It's not actually my house. In the game I live in England, and I own a very small holding. I've got a sort of little manor house I live in, but it's probably more a cottage. Whereas this is owned by Lady Upton Hale, who recently repaired the roof in our game. It's quite complicated. So this is the rear. You got some steps going up to the rear, and you can get inside that way. And inside you have the interior. Can you see the interior? It's not brilliantly lit. I should really put some lights inside it, shouldn't I? So you can see one of the bedrooms there, and that's the main staircase there. You can see some soldiers guarding it, and in here we have the library, and I think you can see the library quite well there. Yeah, so that's the back of it, and round to this side. So I think, given I've done the front part, which is a bit dull and boring, that's just in case the game entails needing the exterior on the front. We have that. It's just a gaming aid, that's all. Then we have this, which is the greenhouse. The greenhouse has nice little glass windows everywhere, and it's a little bit overgrown. It's not overgrown. Everything's died in it. It's a shame, or maybe they've just replanted. There is Lady Alice Upton LaHale, just there. That's Lady LaHale. That is played by my better half, and she's stood on a grave, which is a bit more or less suits her character, and there are a couple of her soldiers, servants, that are guarding it. So there's not really a lot to see, but it does come in handy in certain games that we do. So yeah, it's a nice little addition to the house, which has occasionally come in handy during our games. Then we have the tower. This is just a kind of retreat tower where you can climb up to and either look out for enemies approaching or just somewhere to hang out. The trapdoor's underneath the rug. So we'll go to the top floor next. I'll bring the top floor closer. And oops, here is the top floor. That's a top-down view of it. What do you think? A little bit of effort to build all this. We have a nice little main corridor which runs the length of the house, and then the staircase in the middle, which is not actually that easy to defend, we've discovered. And we also have the bedrooms, so that's the ladders to get upstairs. And here we have the best bedroom. There's a picture of Lovecraft on the wall and a picture of ghouls feeding, which was done by Mr. Picton. And there's a conquistador's daughter there defending herself against ghouls. And the obligatory bookcase. Nice little four-poster bed. And this is, I can't really pronounce the name, Eleuthia Levithia Waitley, apparently is her name. She's not my character, she's another one of our gamers play her, and I can't pronounce her name because I'm English. Yeah, so we've got some guards there. Then we've got this bedroom here. This is a guest bedroom. This is the one that I usually stay in when we're in the house. There's my books. There's another picture of ghouls feeding for some reason on the wall. That must be a popular one. Nice little fireplace with a roaring fire and an Indian rug, which is quite nice. Then we have the spare room, which is where the sidekick spends most of his time because he's a peasant. He's a soldier. Yeah, so that's a little table. He's got some apples laid out on the table. I'm not sure what he's doing in there really, but yeah. So that's the top floor. That's a quick look at the top floor. So we will go down to the next floor. When I designed this, it took quite a lot of time to put the whole thing together. All the walls are double thickness card because I had nothing else to work with, because believe it or not, we're in lockdown and it's very hard to get materials. I did however have a lot of balsa. So the exterior is balsa, so it's actually 3 layers. So 2 layers of card to keep it strong, and then the balsa stuck on the outside. A lot of other stuff I couldn't get hold of, so I had to kind of work with what I had laying around the house. So that's the top floor, and we move to the next floor. Now, here's the next floor. Let's go to the kitchen. This is the kitchen. They have a nice little Arga running, and lots of books everywhere, books and candles on all the desks. That is Mr. Gedney. That is Avery Godric Gedney. That's the sidekick's character. He has lots of candles on his base too, because he likes crawling in tunnels and stuff. He is actually a pikeman by profession, and also a member of the Navy. I believe it is not yet called the Royal Navy, but he is a naval sort of chap, but he carries a pike to defend against boarding actions, hence the shorter pike than usual, and that's the character he plays. We have another guard guarding the main hall. They're a glorious painting of Mr. Lovecraft. I know it's anachronistic, but I don't care, because it's Call of Cthulhu, so, you know. So there we have the main hall, and here is the library. Right, this chap is a member of the Miskatonic Lodge. It's not a university yet. He's actually one of the founding members of the Miskatonic University many years later. And he's sort of working in the library. He's very messy. He's dropped lots of books on the floor on his base, but he's actually carrying a copy of the Necronomicon. At the moment in this game, he's an NPC. He's left over from an old game. I made characters up for the old game with not using them in this game, so he's now an NPC in this game. So he's a librarian at the moment. And over here we have some nice little plush chairs, leather chairs, very comfy to sit on apparently. We have a nice roaring fire and some bookshelves. What on earth is that? It's a roll of paper. Some bookshelves. On the back we have a picture from one of our adventures, which is where tentacles tried to sink our boat, which was really bad. We didn't enjoy it. There's another picture of Lovecraft on the wall, and we have lots of nice bookshelves, because having a library is the sort of thing you have to do in Call of Cthulhu, especially if you own a house. So you have a library with all the tomes and stuff you've collected, and we are slowly trying to make a copy of the Necronomicon. That's the kind of plot line we're playing at the moment. Yes, we've found some pages of the D copy, haven't we, dear? She's not listening to me. Yeah. So, next floor. Yes, it carries on, we keep going. And here we have the basement. And this is the overall basement. We have a well, which appears to have ghouls coming out of it, just for show, because it's that sort of well. It's that sort of house, to be honest. We have that's part of the access to the garden. The garden goes here. We have a little bedroom. Now, this bedroom, believe it or not, is actually for Lady LaHale, because when it's a full moon, she sleeps in the basement. That's because she has a pathological fear of the moon, and she believes she's a werewolf. She's not a werewolf, but she believes she is, because when we rolled the character up, she ended up with an illness. It got worse. I personally, this is my character here, this is Mr. Pickman. Mr. Pickman is Bartholomew James Pickman, an English gent. He's over here in the Americas because it's part of one of our colonies, and we're dealing with the French hopping around and the Spanish. And he's interested in local law of sort of Lovecraftian stuff going on in the Americas at the time. There's two of his soldiers, and we have some rats running around for some reason. We've got quite a few bases of rats. I only put 2 in. And there's a trapdoor and a storage cupboard. We're not really sure where the trapdoor goes at the moment. I'm sure we'll get around to that sooner or later. I think, as with everything in this house, most rooms that we haven't used, we nailed them up because it's safer. So that is overall the house. There's a lot of it. It's quite a big house. There's a lot of stuff going on in the house. You've got the basement, all the stuff that goes on in the basement. This is going to be a wine cellar. I'm going to add some wine shelves and stuff to it eventually. We have the library, which is my favourite room. We have the hall, the kitchen, all the rooms you would need for a role-play game. And of course you can use it in any period. It doesn't have to be... We've set it in the 1600s, but that's just when the period of time we're playing Call of Cthulhu. The basic bad plot is coming from the Call of Cthulhu Wars in America book, and that runs through the colonies and the sort of stuff that went down. But that's it. That's the house as a whole. So in case you wondered what we've been doing, this is basically it. Yeah, it's quite nice. So please leave any comments in the comment section as to what you think of the building project. This one is thankfully finished. It took quite a long time to build. Not only that, it took a long time to set after building it, because certain bits tend to bend over time, such as the roof, which took some repairing. We had extremely hot weather, which caused quite a bit of warping with the woods and everything, so I did eventually sort it all out. It's something you have to look out for when you're living in a humid place. So that's it. Oh, I missed a bit. There we go. That's the Manor House. I quite like it. It's a nice place to live. So anyway, as I mentioned already, please leave comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think of it. If you've got any ideas you want to add to it, just give us any ideas you want. We're always looking for new ideas for building projects. We have quite a few other things we've built for Call of Cthulhu under here. I'll do videos on those later. And you may have noticed there's the farmhouse of Lahai Sant in the background, because we've been playing Waterloo as well, because we wanted to do a proper game. So that's it. That's everything from me. This has been Imperator Vespasian. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.